Yeah, so 3 months early even. Wow, that's wonderful. That means it's probably messed up. They'll say, that's not you. 614 this morning. 614. I will sing of the mercies of the Lord.
Father, bless our lesson this morning in our services, and for those that are coming in, that be your providence and the protection that you offer all those that are out plowing, Father. We pray for that. And the nourishment that we get from your word today, that would take root in our lives. In Christ's name, amen and amen. I get thinking about new people or young people in the Lord. When I say young in the Lord, I mean since they've been saved, and not their physical age. Where a younger person can, somebody who's young, really young, can know the Bible if they kind of grew up with this, compared to somebody that didn't. And I think about where we had left off here. It says the father of Publius, he had a fever and a bloody flux, and then what I read, he had cholera morbus, whatever that is. I don't even know some of those. You could tell because he had a fever, what accompanies a fever and this bloody flux. And the idea is it's recorded by Luke the doctor. And you could be older and not familiar with the Bible, and where a younger person could be very familiar with the Bible and what they've been taught. And where a little child is marching an older person through the Bible, right? Couldn't that be? Where a younger person knows a lot about the Bible. So Colossians 4:4 talks about the doctor. He's the one that's recording this in the book of Acts. If we go there, I mentioned, well, let's not bother going there because basically we know. But I figure why not just for the sake of going there, let's go there. Colossians 4:14. Luke, the beloved physician. So it doesn't call him a doctor, the physician. So he is the doctor. Is he Jew or Gentile? Luke, is he Jew or Gentile? I'm pretty sure he's a Gentile. And he's the only gospel writer that is a Gentile. I'm pretty sure. It says that he lay sick in verse 8, that he lay sick of this fever. And so it's potentially fatal, that he could die from it. I got to think about other verses that, one of them I brought up, I think I brought it up on Wednesday night. And that is to bear the yoke in one's youth. And where do you find that verse? Bear the yoke in the... Now we just brought it up. Somebody guessed Proverbs, another one guessed what? Psalms. Those are all good guesses. Another one guessed what? And they guessed Ecclesiastes. That was another good guess. I would say the Ecclesiastes was the best guess. Are any of those three right? It's Lamentations. I'm pretty sure. And did we look it up or no? Lamentations. It's good to bear the yoke in thy youth, right? I'm familiar with it. Are you familiar with it? Or if
I said it out loud, I wouldn't be right. If I thought in my head, it'd be right.
it doesn't ring any bells, though. Does it ring a bell? Vaguely. Okay, so it was brought to my attention early on after we had gotten saved, and these things, it depends on the person, but that stuck with me. And so the idea is it's best that if you had a parent that taught you to get out of bed, get a job, and little children, real little children should learn to work. How old? When can a little child learn how to work? A little one. Just about when they start walking. And how? How do you put you got them out, you put them away. You want to eat and you won't put them away? Well, go hungry for a day. And they'll get with the program. You don't have to even beat them. Put them away. You want to watch, name something that they'll watch. Not our day and age, Bugs Bunny. What would they watch today? They watch Paw Patrol. You want to watch Paw Patrol? Well, put your toys away. You don't want to put your toys away, you ain't getting Paw Patrol. There's different ways to discipline kids, but as soon as they're breathing, they can almost start working, right? And if they can get their toys out, they can put their toys away. And a lot of times parents make the mistake by not having them bear their yoke in their youth. And then I got thinking of another one. When my wife and I first got married, she lived in town. When I say in town, it wasn't Cleveland. She lived in Parma. You know where the Nike site is on Pleasant Valley? They actually have a park there, and it's named after that. What's it called?
Nike Park.
Oh, it is called Nike Park.
Well, it's now James Day Park and Nike Field or something like that.
But the name Nike is still
Yeah.
associated with it. Now, she lived across the street on the Skylark in that development back there, and I was not accustomed to that. And we lived over on Richmond Road, and we were the kind of people that were the Roger Miller people in the song. The people in the country call me city, the people in the city call me country, and all the country people call me cityfied. So you're not in the city, but you're not on the farm either. You're kind of halfway in between. So I wasn't accustomed to living like that. We were spread out a little more. You could go hiking woods, and I was more accustomed to that. Well, when we first got married, where did we move? Where did we live, if you were to guess?
An apartment.
In an apartment. So I went from what I had, and she went from bad to worse. What's the verse on that? There's a verse about it in Isaiah. It's like the 5 woes. Woe unto them
The joint lands and houses.
You're real close. And you got the important word in there. This morning I quoted it 2 different ways, and I left the word out that you just said. Woe unto them that join house to house. And the word is join, house to house. So right away, even though you may not make the right choice, once that is presented to you, woe unto them that join house to house. In other words, the further apart you are, the better off you are. So you could say, well, what choice do I have? I have to go in the apartment. If you had the choice to make, and let's say you didn't feel ill either way, once you joined house to house, and then you have I couldn't wait to get out of there.
You don't have your own backyard, you have no privacy.
No backyard, no privacy. You put up with all the arguing going on. You can easily fight with your neighbor. And all the potential is there. So not knowing the Bible, the lost people not knowing the Bible, they can make the right choices, but if you know the Bible, you have a better opportunity of making the right choices. But in these apartment complexes, they offer, it depends on how uppity it gets. What do they offer there?
Swimming pool.
They offer them a swimming pool. I hate swimming. What's another thing they offer?
Exercise room.
They offer a gymnasium. Give me another thing. And the last thing I want to do is exercise. They offer a tennis court. Okay. They offer these, what do they call them, amenities?
The big apartment complex up by Parma City Hall, Regency, they actually offer garden plots. You can.
Oh, you can do a little gardening, and not out the window in a.
No, but actually on the ground.
On the grounds. Oh, in these communities up north here, on the east side, you see the community garden plot.
40 acres and a mule.
But after we had gotten saved, and then I was brought to my attention, woe unto them that join house to house. And all of a sudden I realized, well, there's the proof in the pudding as to, well, no wonder I hated it. I hated it. I couldn't wait to get out. I remember the very first night we got out, we had no carpet on the floor. This is in the house we bought. We had tore the carpet out. We didn't sleep in the bedroom. We slept in the living room. I don't even know if I think we were so tired we threw the mattress on the floor. Bed wasn't even set up. We slept there. I remember I woke up, I turned over, I heard a rooster crow, and I said, I'm home. I heard a rooster crow, and I looked out the window, and a hummingbird landed on the honeysuckle. And next to it, another hummingbird landed on the honeysuckle. And the branch didn't move. And I said, I've arrived. And so we were just so glad. And it was something that she was not accustomed to at all. But unless you know the Bible.
Green Acres.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Anyway, you are my wife. Goodbye, city life. So unless you're shown Colossians 4:14, you wouldn't know who Luke is. That he is the physician. And then hopefully those kind of things then stick with you. Then you know in the back, like you said, in the back of your mind, it's good to bear the yoke and the folks, there's not another verse like that. If there is one to support that, I don't know, I'd have to really think about it. But there's the verse, and it's in Lamentation. And so these verses, sometimes I guess what I'm saying is if there's not a lot going on where those verses are never used, or you're not reading your Bible, if you're reading your Bible, what do you tend to do if you're reading it?
Fall asleep.
You fall asleep, there's one. you wander, you think, I wonder what the weather's like tomorrow. All those things happen, right? Unless you're mentally really intent and with it, those things can happen. So anyway, he has this fever in a bloody flux. It is probably potentially fatal. He could die. All right, verses 8 and 9. And it came to pass, this is Acts 28, verses 8 and 9. It came to pass that the father, Publius, lay sick of a fever and a bloody flux, to whom Paul entered in and prayed and laid his hands on him and healed him. So when this was done, others also which had diseases in the island came and were healed. So he has, Paul has these what we call sign gifts. He still has this power. We say the further Acts goes on, this is probably the last place you're going to find this, that Paul couldn't even heal himself. And so that these things would then die out. The real doctor, Luke, in our notes here, did not intervene, because we want these sign gifts to manifest itself, so that the signs and wonders could be signs and wonders. Is that a biblical expression?
Lying signs and wonders.
Say that again.
Lying signs and wonders.
Lying signs and wonders. Give me another one. That I think you're right on that verse. Many signs and wonders. That's another verse. So it goes both ways. What the devil's doing and what God is doing. Many signs and wonders could be demonstrated, and the gospel could then be preached. That people are going to want to hear this. Romans 15, turn there, 18 and 19. For I not dare to speak of any of those things which Christ hath wrought by me, to make the Gentiles obedience by word and deed, through mighty, here it is, another one, mighty signs and wonders by the power of the Spirit of God, so that from Jerusalem round about unto Illyricum I have fully preached the gospel of Christ, so that the gospel could be preached. It was really the we always say it's the jump start for the church. Mark 6, 17 and 18. For Herod himself had sent forth and laid hold upon John, bound him in prison for Herodias' sake. Wait a minute, Mark, what do I have here? I'm sorry, I have it too long. Mark 6, not 15, 6, 55 and 56. I need new glasses here. And ran through the whole region round about, began to carry about in beds those that were sick, where they heard he was, and whithersoever he entered into villages or cities or country, they laid the sick in the streets, and besought him that they might touch, if it were but the border of his garment, and as many as touched him were made whole. There again, I used that the other day about the woman that touched the border of his garment. A man straight as the gate and narrow is the way. It's not you touch him anywhere. It was the border of his garment. Kind of proving straight is the gate and narrow is the way. All right? And that way is through Christ. I know we brought this up. I think it's on a Wednesday at a prayer service. We brought up, there were some lessons we taught on this. When Jesus did these miracles, he honored, he did and would honor the Sabbath. He did it as before the evening started or when the sun was setting. Is that he didn't interfere with the Sabbath, even though you may find other verses where he did that. But when these groupings are shown like that, is that it's yes.
No, he definitely did those miracles on the Sabbath. What happened was the people didn't gather until the evening after the Sabbath.
Don't argue with him.
He's pretty confident about that. Yeah, now, we brought that up, of when, it was a particular time, they were gathering together. And I have to, in fact, where are we at right here? Mark 6? Wait, Mark 6, let's go back there. Mark 6.
So in this particular case, they were in the land of Judea, which means they were probably Gentiles.
And they were probably Gentile when they entered the villages. Yeah, and it doesn't tell the time of day. It doesn't tell the time of day there. There are other places where it actually specifies the time of day. It does say that. The time of day is actually specified. See, he did that with the Pharisees. And the other is, he would keep the law. He wasn't a lawbreaker. I have to look up those things again. But they are specific about they are specific about the time of day. There they're not. It doesn't reveal that. I just threw that out as some extra whipped cream on the top. But they are specific about that, about the time of day. We'll move on. The fulfillment of Mark 16. Go to Mark 16. Verses 17 and 18, and these signs shall follow them that believe. In my name shall they cast out devils. They shall speak with new tongues. They shall take up serpents. If they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover. All right, so here in this, we give the examples of the casting out of devils, Acts 16, in the speaking with tongues in Acts 2, in the taking up of serpents, obviously here where Paul is bitten, Acts 28, not that he grabbed it on purpose, it lit on him. Laying hands upon the sick in Acts chapter 9, but the drinking of any deadly thing there's no record of that happening. It's not included because it says in verse 18 of Mark 16, verse 18, the word if is included in there. And of all the sign gifts, that is the only if that is given there. I mean, you're not going to want to go and do these things. They have snake handlers. They call them snake handlers. They make jokes about it. They've cut records. They actually cut records about it. Like Bill Cosby would cut an LP and jokes. Man, just think, they actually made records with jokes. So they cut LPs on this. And I know the one was, there's no door there. And they were snake handlers. And they said, well, where do you want one? That was one of the jokes, right? Where do you want the door? The thing is, they do get bit and they do die. These guys get bit and they die. Folks, we've had them in the church. They're not being convinced any other way. We're sticking to our guns. These sign gifts, it's over. It is over. Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
think we're talking about spiritual snakes about this time.
Spiritual
Snakes.
I don't know about that.
Fiery darts of the devil and all that stuff.
Oh, you mean full armor of God? Listen, we have people that they come through, they believe this stuff. They believe it still goes on. They want to practice it. We were up there one Kool-Aid drinkers. We had missionaries down there. What is that, Guyana? There's Ghana, that's Africa. Guyana
That's South America.
is and that's on the tour list. Is it still on the tour list, Guyana? In other words, if you're on one of those cruise ships, they may stop off at Guyana. And well, anyway, we had a missionary there that was going there. He said there's still a stigma there about taking communion. That, they took and drank the Kool-Aid and they were all killed. And then if you didn't die, they had machine gun nests there. They were going to shoot them all. And by the way, what state did they all come from? Where was that evangelist out of? If you were to take,
Texas.
I thought he was out of California. Well, good Texas is a good guess.
There's weirdos in Texas.
What time? What year was that?
What, Jonestown?
Jonestown.
Reagan was president, so it had to be in the...
We were just talking about that. It's Reagan era. We had just gotten saved. That was going on. What else was going on? Waco and Waco. What was going on before that? It's on tonight, the second part of that on Fox. Ruby Ridge. Ruby Ridge.
It's a town.
So it's Ruby Ridge, which is Randy Weaver. Then you got, I think then you have Waco and Waco.
That was Clinton era.
That was Clinton.
Yeah.
And that firebug Janet Reno went in there.
Yeah.
I heard you could not have a camera within 1 mile of that place. The news media was pushed out 1 mile.
And that was before drones.
What is going on? I mean, you got to ask yourself, what is going on? And then so you got Waco and Waco, and then right after that you had the guy with the fertilizer in Oklahoma.
Oh,
McVeigh, the claim is McVeigh is still an agent. He blows the building up. That's all moved to a dump someplace like within a week. All the evidence is gone. It's just all too weird. And at the same time is when our house was being bombarded with the helicopters. And so that all came up. Now we got talking about it. And the kids were talking to me about it. The wife was talking to me about it. I said, you're crazy. And see, at this time now, we were members of Bible believers. And Ruckman openly talks against the Bushes, what I've heard politically of how these people stand. And the helicopters would come in right up to the house. And I said, you're nuts. Come on. And then I said, well, they're looking for marijuana. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for a crop of marijuana. Then later, this 10 years after or more, they were saying, no, they're looking at the lines. They're looking at the power lines. Wait a minute. They would come up to our house. They're not swinging around. Because I've seen them looking at the power lines. They come up over the hemlocks, right in. The wife is on the porch, on the roof. She said, well, my hair's blowing. The clothes are blowing from the wind of the blades. I said, you're nuts. The kids are saying, no, they come right up to the house. I happened to be home one day. They came right up to the house. It was the weirdest thing.
nothing weird about your income taxes, like.
They came right up. I mean, they point the thing down. You can see the guy in the coffin. So then Molly wanted to get a picture of it. They came into the front yard right up to the house. Molly goes out there to get a picture. They had left by then. And she was trying to get a picture of it. And then Nathan said, well, it lasted like all the way up to Waco and Waco. And then all of a sudden it ended. And then we knew a missionary. We had somebody over at the house. They said they were getting it on the southwest side of town, like Strongsville, someplace out there. Well, then the one boy said, well, now what it all ended. The whole thing abruptly ended is that now the theory was, well, how are they watching us now? I don't think we're on a hit list. But how would they watch us now?
Drones,
Drones?
satellite.
The satellites, because you can Google Earth and you're right there. Now, that's not live action, but they can watch it with satellites and with
Well, if they
drones.
want to turn it on for themselves, they can.
And so they have different ways of doing it. So it ended the helicopter. That all ended. It was the weirdest thing. I didn't believe it until I saw it with my own eyes. Folks, they weren't out in the field, because we've seen the helicopters out in the field. They came up over the trees, right into our place. That's why I said, well, they're probably looking for marijuana.
These deposits.
I don't know, man. It was strange. But it was all during Randy Weaver, Wacko and Waco, Jonestown, and then we were in this radical church. And then Jonestown, what was the, in Oklahoma. And I think they did it, didn't they, wasn't that done on the anniversary of Wacko for Waco? I think it was done on the anniversary. Anyway, we get these people in, I don't know how I got off on that. We get these people in that still believe in drinking deadly things and, well, I might say to them, well, why don't you drink that? Go ahead. Well, that's you're tempting the Lord. And they give you every excuse not to do it. Well, let's hear some of this tongue business. We would have people up there. I remember I was done preaching. A woman said, I was so moved, I almost spoke in tongues. I'm thinking, well, good reason to march you out of here. You know, but they're out there. They're out there. So it says about the deadly thing, there is no record of that. And it's the only one of the signs that say if. Verse 10, Acts 28, who also honored us with many honors. And okay, so let's look up Philippians 4:19. Philippians 4:19. Which is the verse we know? Philippians 4:18? Is that the one about him taking care of us? Pardon? Yeah, is that 4:18? 4:18. 4:19. But my God shall supply, no, that is, according to the riches and glory, supply all your need. Oh, I know why I brought it up. And when he departed, they laded us with such things as were necessary. So the honor, in other words, my God shall supply all your need. Here they are, they're shipwrecked, they have nothing. And they do this healing and heal people. He does this healing, heals people on the island. Now they're going to get re-outfitted and resupplied. God shall supply. You say, well, these are lost people. Man, wherever the supply comes, God, God can use lost people to supply our need so that we make it. And God supplied the need. My God shall supply. Yes.
It brought to my attention early on with that verse, who said need, not you wants.
Right. And they had a need because by the time they landed, and the ship was gone, they have no supplies, they have nothing. They have nothing. And so God supplies the need. Right, the need and not necessarily the wants. Okay, Castor and Pollux, verse 11. After 3 months we departed in a ship. The sign was Castor and the sons of Jupiter were twins, like signs today or logos, the sun and arrowhead, greyhound. Okay, that's what the sign was. In other words, the logo that was on the, is this a ship? Verse 11, on this ship. So this is the logo that is placed there. It's like St. Christopher, you got this sign. You can spot a FedEx truck a mile away. you can spot a UPS truck a mile away. What's the new truck on the road? Pardon?
Amazon.
Amazon, and what's all, I think what's on the side of it?
A smile.
There's a smile, and then what is it? It doesn't say Prime?
Amazon has a service called Prime.
Prime, it's associated with it.
Yes.
So you see an Amazon truck a mile away, you can see and it's a smaller van, and it's called Prime with this arrow or smile.
There's regular Amazon, Amazon Prime, you pay extra money to get free shipping and other goods.
Okay, so, but you can spot these logos. AT&T has their logo, and you can spot that a mile out.
GE's monogram.
GE's monogram, General Motors,
Right.
Cadillac, Ford, all of them have it. And that's what that caster pull-box would be. All right, 3 months. Verse 11, until they've wintered in the island. So if it's a season, it's for the 3 months when they're going to set sail again. Right now, Brother Welsh would say maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, well, this is the week of, there is a week in the middle of winter. I think right now is the dead of winter, isn't it?
Yes, this is considered the dead of winter.
The dead of winter, it's like a week.
Yeah, they were
It's-
talking about it last week and how warm it was, it was the dead of winter.
It's the flat line. Does it last 1 week or 2 weeks? A week?
I think it's 2 weeks, 10 days, something like
Ten,
that.
10 days, where kind of the lowest temperature, it's a flat line.
Right.
If it goes up a quarter, up a degree, they don't count that. It's kind of flat line. It's the dead of winter right now, and so give it 2 or 3 more days, and then the average temperature is going to be going up. All right, verse 13, and from thence we fetched a compass. So fetch this compass. They had sailed in a circle in order to get around an island. All of these verses, I don't feel led to look them up. Joshua 6, 2 Chronicles 4, Psalm 17. Just all you have to do is just look them up. Psalm 22, Psalm 18, Psalm 49, Psalm 118. Where are you going to find a compass today? Well, you could find it at Mark's.
In your dashboard, in a lot of cars.
In my drafting box.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. So where are you going to find that?
I don't know, I can't find my drafting.
Where are you going to find your drafting set today? Yeah, I have it in there. It's at the antique store. It's at the antique store is where you're going to find the drafting set. And boy, there's really good ones. I had picked up in an antique store, I bought 2 of them so that the 2 older boys could do some mathematics with it, and that is 2 slide rules. Yeah, and I do see them around. I bought 2 good ones. Well, a good one is made out of what? Anybody know? What's the material?
Gold.
Gold.
Brass.
No. I had that. My good one was made out of aluminum. Pardon? No, bamboo. It's made out of bamboo. And you can tell by looking at it. Bamboo has got like shoots or tubular, but it's made out of a bamboo material. It probably because it's stable and it doesn't move around. It's made out of some kind of a bamboo. Is a good one. I'm pretty sure. And so I use my slide rule over there all the time. All the time. What's the advantage of a slide rule over a calculator? Anybody know? The answer on a calculator is displayed on your display. How many numbers? You only see one number there. On a slide rule, you see all the numbers. There's no, it's not limited to whatever's on the display board. If I want to, I look at it and say, well, I can see what's wrong or whatever. There's a lot of advantages to a slide rule. Can you figure it out faster on a slide rule or calculator.
If you don't know how to work a slide rule,
It does depend on the answers that you want, but if you're just multiplying and dividing, if that's what you're doing, you can do it faster on a slide rule. But is it the exact number? No, it isn't. See, so engineers aren't after the exact number. We just want to get you close to the moon. And so they get them close there, and then somebody else works out the details. They work out the details to get the exact number, whatever that exact number is. So fetch the compass. So here's a compass. If you don't have a compass and you want to quickly do something, I mean, you can just do it like this. And there's the point, and you just go like that. You can estimate all kinds of things just with your hand. Or you take a stick. But all these things can be easily figured out. And so that's what all these, you're making a circle. You're circling around. Okay, verses 14 and 15. Where we found brethren and were desired to tarry with them, tarry meaning to stay there with them 7 days, and so we went toward Rome. From thence, when the brethren heard of us, they came to meet us as far as Apia Forum and the Three Taverns, whom when Paul saw, and that doesn't mean the Three Taverns, when he saw the brethren, he thanked God and took courage. So the brethren in verse 14, the brethren in verse 15, need to be an encouragement. Yes, he saw the brethren and took courage. They did not discourage Paul, they encouraged Paul. Verse 16, Paul was suffered to dwell by himself aloud. So the centurion delivered the prisoners to the captain of the guard, but Paul was suffered to dwell by himself with a soldier that kept him. So the prisoners were delivered, but Paul was permitted liberty as long as he was accompanied by a soldier. So that, he is preferred, and God can show preference like that. Give me some people in the Old Testament that were shown preference by lost people. Jeremiah. Yeah, he was lifted up out of that miry pit. Daniel was. He was shown preference by lost people. Joseph was. Yes, he had preferential treatment in the jail. Those are three good examples right there. So just Paul, well, right here. And the jailer, yeah. So just because it looks like it's curtains doesn't mean it's curtains. That God can give you preferential treatment. Basically, if it's lighting for you, such as you're given 10 years to serve in jail, but you get out in 5. You get out on how do you get out? Because of what kind of behavior? Good behavior. If you want to be a rabble rouser in there, they'll add to it. They'll add to it. Okay, verse 17, and we'll stop here. Verse 17, came to pass that after 3 days, Paul called the chief of the Jews together. After the 3 days, Paul wastes no time, and he doesn't waste time to speak to his fellow countrymen. He waits the 3 days time. In our outline here, in this world, we'll pick it up. He was Paul the prisoner, then he goes to Paul the preacher, and then he goes to be Paul the persuader. Doesn't waste any time. He gets busy right away. The weather had broken. They touch down. He gets up there. He's obviously still a prisoner. And then he makes this request and wants to see his fellow countrymen. Father, bless now the preaching to follow. In Christ's name, amen.